We get Arkansas, Penn State up next, 45 being the total. We're seeing Penn State open -4 on the graphic, as you see, guys, but we've seen a huge line move here, Rob Vino. Arkansas now primarily -1 point favorites. Saturday, January 1st, 12 noon Eastern in the Outback Bowl, Tampa, Florida. Robbie, what are you like in SEC Big Ten action?
Well, I'll say this in regards to the line move. And I don't know what Ralph's power ratings were on this game on a neutral field, but initially my power ratings were Arkansas, Penn State, pick'em. So I thought the line was way out of whack from the beginning. So for it to come all the way to pick'em doesn't surprise me at all. Comes all the way to -1 because Penn State's got a whole boatload of key opt-outs and they're missing a defensive coordinator. If we go through that stuff real quick, Brent Pry, their defensive coordinator, jumped ship, took the head coaching job at Virginia Tech. He's not going to coach this game. Leaves Penn State in a little bit of a lurch. But even more than that, the defensive players that they've lost here to opt-outs, their top 2 linebackers, who also are their top 2 leading tacklers, and their team captain, starting strong safety, Jaquan Brisker, who's the 4th leading tackler on the team. So you lose leading tacklers 1, 2, and 4 combined. Those guys made 245 tackles this year. It's a lot of defense to lose in your back 7. I think that poses a problem for this team. You add to it that their NFL wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, has opted out. I guess maybe, if you wanted to say one negates the other, Treylon Burks for Arkansas has opted out as well, their top wide receiver. But these defensive issues for Penn State, or these defensive opt-outs for Penn State, could present real issues here. I think there's some significant key advantages for Arkansas in this game if we just look at the fundamentals and how it's played on the field. Penn State's run defense versus the Arkansas ground game. Penn State's run defense has not been what it was predicted to be to start the season, right? You have Wisconsin, Auburn, Illinois, 357 yards, Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State. Those 6 teams, Michigan only ran for 144. The other 5 ran for 161 yards or more against this Penn State defense. And we know Sam Pittman, head coach of Arkansas, offensive line guy, they love to run the football. I could see that happening here against this Penn State defensive front, especially with the 2 guys missing at the linebacker positions who were making all the tackles. I think the other thing that is problematic for Penn State is that they didn't face a dual threat quarterback with the running ability of KJ Jefferson. The only guy, as I went back, that they faced that's a significant dual threat quarterback that can use his mobility was Bo Nix. And in that Auburn game, Auburn ran for 182 yards and in a whiteout almost beat Penn State that night, maybe should have beat Penn State that night. So I think KJ Jefferson is going to present. I know you get 15 practices and you get a lot of prep time, a lot of film time to watch these guys, but I don't know. I think KJ Jefferson could have a big day as that third piece running the football here for Arkansas. If I just flip the coin to the other side of the trenches, Penn State's running game has been garbage all season long. 107 yards per game, 3.1 per carry, Big Ten defenses that can stop the run, stop this team. Arkansas is not the greatest run defense in the world, but they do play in the SEC West against real good competition. Overall this year, they only allowed in the 150s rushing yardage per game. Sean Clifford, again, a dual threat quarterback. To present the case for him that I presented for KJ Jefferson, Arkansas seen more of it. You see Matt Corral. They saw Bo Nix, and they held Auburn to 135 rushing yards in that game. So I don't think it's that new to the Arkansas defense here. Last thing I'll point to real quick that I think favors Arkansas or maybe doesn't favor Penn State is the fact that that last game, regular season finale against Michigan State, was horrible for Penn State, and maybe a reason why some guys opted out. They faced as banged up of a Michigan State team as they could possibly face, a team that was off by monster loss to Ohio State, and you know what? Penn State got beat in that game, gave up 30-plus points. So I think Arkansas is the right side here, guys, minus the point.
Okay, good stuff, Robbie. And Ralph, coming to you next, we do get the SEC and Big Ten. Robbie brings up the fact that they had a common opponent in Auburn. Penn State beat them, Arkansas lost. However, I guess like Robbie touched on, that was a great game in Penn State. Could have gone either way. Great atmosphere in that one in the whiteout. Penn State did beat them, so maybe there's a little nod here towards the Nittany Lions, but definitely the market not thinking so. Money coming in here on the Razorbacks. What are you liking? Woo Pig Suey or the Nittany Lions?
Well, just going back to the Auburn game, yes, Penn State won and Arkansas lost. Arkansas had a 460 to 427 yard edge. They were plus 33 yards. Penn State was plus 29 yards. So, one little thing happened in the game to change it, but the people on the field actually were almost the exact same performance. I'm not going to add much else. Arkansas has an NFL player out and the wide receiver out. Penn State has more guys out. And I'm going to bring up that SEC is 10-2, ATS is a dog, and people are going to jump on me and say, hey, idiot, the line moved. They're a favorite. But I don't look that way. When these lines come out and you start to prep for your bowl, you're an underdog or a favorite. Once you get into bowl preps a few days before the games, you're not paying attention to those lines. So Arkansas traveled to this bowl game thinking they are an underdog, and I think they have that mentality. And I clearly think that helps them in this role. Arkansas is on my card. It's one of my all-access client plays. I agree with what Rob said. I don't need to cover anything else. Arkansas wins this game. Obviously, they're laying a point and a half now, but the running attack, one person said to me, well, look at Penn State's defense. You said it's not that good. They only allow 3.5 yards per carry, but we have to point out this. You play Ball State held them to 2.7. Villanova held them to 2.2. Indiana, you held them to 2.9. Maryland to 1.5, and Rutgers to 2.1. So, yeah, you had a good rush defense against dredges of offenses that were, number 100 and higher, or FCS teams. But against the quality foes, I think Arkansas can move the ball.
All right, looking towards the Razorbacks in that one.